It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You are checking out the RCWR show for this Wednesday night of April 12th, 2023. This is episode number 1018 of the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Happy hump day to you guys. Weekend is almost here. Hey, yo, what did you think about tonight's AEW Dynamite for this Wednesday? Sound off. Let me know. I got a poll up on Twitter at the RCWR show, and we got it up on the communities tab on youtube.com/the RCWR show. Just click on the communities tab and you can vote that way. We'll circle on back much later on into the show. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. Hey, before we go any further, a little bit of breaking news had came in, I would say within the last 20, maybe 25 minutes of AEW programming, non-wrestling related, but it is entertainment related, and that is Jamie Foxx. Definitely prayers up for Jamie Foxx, as his family had revealed just minutes ago. It was about almost 25 minutes ago. They revealed on social media that the 55-year-old comedian, actor, singer had some type of a medical complication, some type of episode, and as a result of that, they had to take him to the hospital, and they had put out a very brief statement. I actually shared that statement that his family made on the Facebook page over at the RCWR show, and it was just a short, brief statement. It sounds as though he's gonna be okay, but you know what? You can never really be too sure, quite honestly. But the statement that they put out, they said, we wanted to share that my father, and this came from obviously one of his kids, one of his daughters, I forget the name offhand, but she said, we wanted to share that my father, Jamie Foxx, experienced a medical complication yesterday. Luckily, due to quick action and great care, he is already on his way to recovery. We know how beloved he is and appreciate your prayers. Family asks for privacy during this time. So some of you guys may be hearing this and you may be going, well, wait a minute, this went down yesterday. Well, sadly, if you were making your rounds on social media, just checking out news information or whatever, or even watching your local news, there was no mention of Jamie Foxx at all. So the fact that this just dropped on our laps, I guess the family did their very best to keep this under the rug, not trying to alarm folks, but I would imagine that you have some people that work at this hospital where Jamie Foxx is. They probably have some ties to maybe the TMZs, local newspapers, probably looking out for whenever something goes down with a celebrity. I'm sure some of you guys that have made your rounds picking up a National Enquirer or checking out Entertainment Tonight, what is it, Access Hollywood, you guys know exactly how it can be sometimes. And sadly, you know, when it comes to a celebrity making a pit stop at a hotel or a hospital, it's only going to be under wraps, but for so long before any and everybody is aware of what's going on. So the important thing is he is, by all accounts, what they're saying, he is on a path to recovery. But I think at this point, when we can actually see and hear the man in his own words, that's when we can really knock on wood and say, okay, that's great. But whatever's going on, you've got me, quite honestly. And I know that's going to have a lot of people speculating because, my God, as long as I can remember following the career of Jamie Foxx, and it goes as far back as in Living Color, and when he popped up, I could have sworn he popped up. Yes, I remember when he was doing guest spots on other TV shows. I remember he played a homeless guy on the TV series Rockstar and Charles S. Dutton, Rocky Carroll. Let's see, there's some other stuff. Oh, of course, the Jamie Foxx show. Obviously, the Jamie Foxx show. But yeah, my point, he's always been skinny. He's always been on the healthy side. So if anything, he's gotten better physically over the years and all that. So to hear that the 55-year-old had some type of medical complications, some type of an episode the other day, you just can't help but go, what the hell's going on there? So I'm not sure if he's a diabetic. I don't want to speculate too much, but if he is a diabetic, that kind of, because your blood glucose numbers, you got to be careful, because if you're not staying on top of that, that can definitely trigger some pretty ugly stuff and everything, especially if the diabetes is uncontrolled and all that. But definitely speedy recovery to Jamie Foxx. So definitely I wanted to show you guys at the very top, because it literally, it was weird, because I'm on social media, I'm just gathering up some last minute thoughts and stuff that we could talk about here on tonight's show, and I see Jamie Foxx is trending, and I'm thinking, well, maybe Jamie Foxx is getting ready to do something with DC Comics or something, or maybe he's getting like a Mark Twain award or some crap like that. I'm like, this ain't nothing. And to see that, it's, well, damn, what the hell, right? Kind of one of those type of deals. All right, so, yeah, hope you guys' week has been going pretty good so far, besides that little piece of news I shared with you all. Mine's pretty good, gotta say, it was pretty good. Did my round of classes, was taking it easy, and caught up on a little bit of light work around the house. I'm plotting on doing something with my front and backyards, because it's about that time to mow them now that the grass is nice and got that nice good warm weather, right? Summer is like essentially here and everything, right? So I'm looking at the grass now going, it's about that time for a trim, all that good stuff. So nothing else, just taking it easy and enjoying life, man. Just enjoying life one day at a time. That's the best thing we can do. All right, so hey, let's talk AEW Dynamite, because we got loads of stuff we'll be able to dive into on tonight's show, including, hopefully you guys had checked out Monday's show. I had dedicated towards the tail end of the episode a good chunk of what all had went down with Vicky Guerrero and Sherlyn Guerrero, and since that piece of back and forth went down between mother and daughter, Vicky Guerrero has circled back through a lawyer now and put out a new statement. So I'll definitely give you guys my reactions to that. Won't be as lengthy as what went down on Monday, but we got some new CM Punk news and all that. So loads of some really good stuff that we can get into on tonight's episode. Overall tonight, as far as this week's episode of Dynamite, fairly solid episode. I did enjoy, for the most part, the quality of the matches that was in store for us. Nice that they had opened up with Darby Allin taking on Swerve Strickland. I thought that was a nice touch and everything. And you just knew it was gonna go in that direction, but here's the thing. I wasn't really a fan of seeing Swerve Strickland lose because we're still in storyline going with that whole 4 pillars of AEW and everything, right? And on the one hand, you're going, okay, yeah, you want for Darby to win. Okay, great. But you're also trying to remember that Swerve Strickland has been engulfed in this feud with Keith Lee and everything. So if they're going to continue to dance around one another, then you got to make sure that there is some type of a nod to that respective feud. And although the commentators maybe had mentioned that feud that's been going on between Keith and Swerve, the fact that you had Swerve pretty much, now it was a nice touch that they had Prince Nana and Brian Cage interfere and everything, but I think it really should have been a case where maybe you should have had Darby Allin taking on Brian Cage, since, remember, what was it, Rampage? I think it was on Rampage where Darby Allin had crossed paths with Swerve, and Swerve extended his hand, and then like a Mack truck, Brian Cage just came out of nowhere and freaking body splash tackled his ass to the ground and everything. So you would think, just following that logic, well, okay, this kind of makes a little bit more sense that it's actually Brian Cage that maybe takes on Darby Allin, but that's not how it played out. So I'm a bit conflicted in seeing Swerve pick up the defeat here against Darby, but yeah, that's just me. I liked how they have Swerve at the end of the night pop up in that one-on-one match between Keith Lee and Chris Jericho, which was a decent main event match for what it was worth. But I don't know. I go back to that main opener, and that maybe it's just me. You guys could definitely sound off and let me know. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't like seeing Swerve lose there. I understood, but I didn't enjoy seeing him lose. But damn, what a great match. They went about 15 minutes for what it was worth, just tearing it up with one another. So I would say of all the matches from this week's Dynamite, that one was definitely one match you need to go out of your way, check out. MJF coming out afterwards, having some words there with Darby Allin, and basically saying, hey, remember what we had did at Full Gear 2021? MJF giving props, saying that was one of his greatest matches as far as he was concerned. That was, in his eyes, one of the greatest matches in the history of pro wrestling, and that even though Darby Allin is a shitty little emo schmuck, he may be one of the greatest that MJF has ever stepped into the ring with, and that's a fact. But he's got 2 words for Darby Allin, which is headlock takeover, basically saying, hey, that may sound pretty stupid, but with that move, MJF essentially beat Darby Allin. And it just goes to show you that no matter what, Darby, he's beyond stupid, but at the same time, he's not on the level as the devil. That was MJF's whole promo, basically. And then Darby tries to act like Dr. Phil, I guess, and wonders if MJF is happy as he goes over this thing about 6 years ago, how they've basically known each other for such a long time, and rewinded back to 6 years ago, way before AEW even came into existence and everything. And during that time, MJF was complaining about the fact that he didn't have any money, and that when he finally made the big time, he was going to have money and all his problems would be solved. You fast forward to now, and Darby can't help but wonder, MJF, what's going on with you, dog? Because it seems that 6 years ago you weren't happy. You fast forward to now, you've got all the money, you've got the fame, you've got the fortunes, and it just appears that you're not happy. what's going on with that. And he tells him maybe he should look into some therapy. It helped out Darby and everything. It would definitely do some serious wonders for him and all of that. So kind of interesting what was going on here as we get this whole psycho analysis and everything. MJF pretty much coming right back, calling Darby Allin a arrogant little boy. What makes him think he's special? People have been going through shit to get to the top for years. Tired of his morals. Morals kills careers, and that's a fact. And he takes digs at the fact that Darby Allin is a daredevil of some type and all of that. And yeah, he goes even much further into the insult bag when he references Sting. I actually wrote this little note down. He ended his rebuttal, if you will, saying he will leave a legacy in this sport, Darby Allin that is, and it will read, MJF, when it's all said and done for his respected career, it will say that he is the greatest of all time. As far as Darby's legacy is going to be Sting's bitch. So this pretty much had prompted the icon Sting to come out. And great seeing Sting, or as Tony Schiavone likes to really break it down, it's Sting! And all that other crap. So nice pop from the crowd. And look, we hadn't seen Sting in a good minute, so it was definitely, it put a smile on my face. It definitely put a big old smile on my face. Happy to see the icon and everything. And we had Sting come in there, and he just starts going through shout outs in his promo. He was giving the old WCW days a shout out. He was giving Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Ric Flair, giving them their heads up and all that. Started talking about Wolfpack Sting, even made a reference to the Joker Sting. It's interesting to see how there's some folks out there that don't like Joker Sting. I actually enjoy Joker Sting for what it was worth. I thought that was one of the most fun, creative, craziest times in Sting's career, but that's just me and everything. Sting had bust out some pom-poms and pretty much telling MJF, look, I'm not Darby Allin's bitch. No, I'm his cheerleader. And he was basically throwing pom-poms at MJF and everything, and he's just pulling one out of the other, and he's saying to MJF, oh, are you offended? Okay, I'll stop, MJF, if you promise that you'll stop. Stop talking about this Cody daycare. And he just goes, oops, and the crowd looks on, and at the same time they let out a big old and everything. And Sting reveals that, years back in AEW, Sting had pretty much took Darby under his wing, and he knows very well that Cody, never saying Rhodes, but that Cody apparently had tried to take MJF under his wing and everything. And so, he comes right back at MJF saying the truth hurts, doesn't it? Right? It hurts, yeah? And that MJF had a cheerleader, had a support system, and Cody pretty much like what's going on with Darby Allin and everything. So, he does admit that he's got a little bit of Joker left in him, but that most importantly, he does recognize the fact that MJF is holding on to that AEW world title. And as much as he would love to go for that title, he knows that there isn't much showtime left in him, but that Showtime, right? Showtime, it's almost over, but it's just getting started for Darby Allin. And he makes MJF take note of the fact that he pretty much puts out there a Charles Barkley guarantee. Shout out if you know your basketball. But he pretty much guarantees that MJF he will see with his own two eyes that one day Darby Allin will become an AEW World Heavyweight Champion because it's showtime. So it's a nice little spot right there. MJF ends up spitting in Darby's face, quickly rolling out of the ring with this trademark arrogant little smug smirk and everything. And that pretty much had ended that great segment. Look, when you see the ratings breakdown for last week's episode, and they did good in a few areas, but you saw at the same time where they had lost a significant amount of viewership and all that. Remember where they had sandwiched in MJF? And it was actually bad because he actually had lost audience as part of the respective segment that he was involved in. So the fact that they pretty much had MJF incorporated into basically the first segment, right? I don't know if you want to look at that as quarter one segment or what, but or just segment one. The fact that he was incorporated in there, I think that's definitely a nice touch, and it should definitely have helped out the first 30 minutes of AEW damn it, I was getting ready to say Rampage there. I'm getting my shows mixed up. AEW Dynamite. It should have definitely helped as far as the retention of the audience. You don't want to see such a significant drop because, man, when you go and look at the breakdown from last week, yeah, they might have finished off, 870 something, I think, 877,000. I mean, that's great and everything, but when you see the drop-offs that they had and how essentially they weren't able to recover and essentially get that audience back, because I think they lost like about somewhere between 100 to 125,000 viewers, and they never were able to, get that back and everything. It's good that they had shuffled the AEW World Champion the way that they did for tonight and everything. So good stuff right there. From there, we go to a squash match. Powerhouse Hobbs taking on one of my favorite ROH wrestlers in Silas Young. This was pretty much a goddamn squash match for all intents and purposes. I just looked at that and said, well, at least Silas got some TV time. At least he got some TV time. But yeah, goddamn, right? But might have been a squash match. But as Powerhouse was making his exit, we see on the Titantron that Wardlow is seen backstage, and apparently there was a car that QT Marshall had gifted Wardlow with, apparently. And this is kind of like one of those Street Fighter segments where you got the fucking car and you're given 30 seconds and you're trying to do the very best you can to mess that car up, right? Get it all the way down, really tear that car up, and you're gonna get some serious freaking bonus points added to your overall high score and all that. I'm curious, who did you guys use in Street Fighter for that? Me, I used to love using Blanca. I would either use Blanca or I would use Ken. And I would just stay doing the roundhouse kick and just stay messing up with that joint. But those were my main cats to go to. Once in a while, if I was feeling pretty cocky, I would also go with the Chung Li route. I'd go the Chung Li route as well. But yeah, he messed that car up big time. Wasn't done from there. He actually came out to face the TNT champion face to face, and they started brawling all over the place. You had a couple of officials, jobbers come out, try and separate the guys and everything, but Wardlow was able to escape, powerbomb the hell out of Aaron Solo onto one of the tables before finally being broken apart and everything. It was a nice setup the way that they did it. I gotta say, I liked how they booked Wardlow here. I really do, because rather than have your traditional, I'm gonna mess your car up and whoever whoever messes that car up is just hanging in the back and they're just looking on very pleased with their work or whatever, right? No, we had a case go down where not only am I going to mess your vehicle up, but I know that you're going to take this so personal, and obviously you're going to have great issue with this. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Not only am I going to mess your car up, but I'm going to actually get in your face afterwards, and whatever you want to say or whatever you want to do, however you want to get down, we can get down. So I like that, because it's very rare you see that. When you just think for a second and play back in your mind all the times that we've seen some vehicle get messed up. We've never seen a case where on that same episode, in that same segment, the wrestler who messed up the vehicle comes out and gets in the face of the car owner, right? We never see that before. Usually it's just the poor sap, the car owner, like a sap, they're just in the middle of the ring. Ooh, oh, 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 ah, you know, so I actually thought that was a really nice change of pace. High marks right there, right? Taking it to the streets there was Wardlow. Of course, this pretty much had set up an announcement for next week's Dynamite, which is after the events that transpired and what I just described. Hobbs is going to be facing Wardlow for the TNT Championship, but you just know that QTV crew, they're going to get involved in this. You know, there's going to be some shenanigans at ringside, and all said and done, they're probably going to put the screws there to Wardlow. It's going to be a serious numbers game, but I'm predicting pain, lots of pain, as I'm seeing Wardlow just go through all of those freaking cats. He's going to get his hands on everybody, I think, with the exception of QT Marshall. I can see a case coming about where he's getting ready to do something with QT, but just comes up a little bit short. He'll definitely do something physical to him, but as far as maybe getting ready to set him up for the Symphony of Power Bombs, I can see pretty much, nope, that's not going to happen, and it's just going to continue to be egged on here, this program that's going on between the two of them for what it's worth. But yeah, we got another little montage of the new, improved, check out my new mask, Luchasaurus with Christian Cage. So I know some of you guys, well, then again, some of you guys might not be aware of this because I don't really see it being talked about like that on social media, but apparently there is a company, sounds like the train cart company too. Sounds like CXS when I hear the name, and I just think about those initials. Kind of has that type of vibe to it and everything. But there's this company apparently that is currently suing Luchasaurus. I guess they're trying to get this to go to trial or maybe be compensated so they don't have to go to court. But apparently there is this visual effects makeup costume company that is taking great issue with the Luchasaurus mask, and they're basically saying, look, everything that we had incorporated into blah 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 mask, Luchasaurus has essentially stolen our designs, our concept, and basically has been using it, trying to make it come off as his own, and that's not the case whatsoever. So, you know, have that in the back of your mind as you're seeing this whole new, improved Luchasaurus and everything. But that's definitely a case I think you guys should definitely be paying attention to. I mean, you don't need to be watching it like a hawk, but you definitely want to have that playing in the back of your mind and all that. Another good, solid match that we had on this week's Dynamite, the International. I was getting ready to say Intercontinental, but International Championship. Buddy Matthews going up against Orange Cassidy. I love this match. Tony Khan obviously loves him some Orange Cassidy, but you know what? I'm not gonna hate on this. This was another, it was about 14, almost 15 minutes of a match here. The quality of Orange Cassidy matches as of late, man, the kid has just been on a whole nother level. He's really been freaking bringing it. You know, you got to give a lot of props here to Buddy. Buddy made the champ look pretty damn good, while also getting himself over at the same time. I enjoyed this one too. This is probably another match I would say go out of your way and check out. Nice little delight of a surprise that we had on tonight's Dynamite as Ethan Page was in the ring demanding answers from Matt Hardy. Here's where I felt it was a little bit silly as far as the way this segment was booked, because you had Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy come out. Cassidy says that Ethan played himself as Matt reveals he had manipulated Ethan Page. And apparently Page had signed, go back to that contract now, apparently what Page had signed stated that if Hook defeated him, Matt and Cassidy are no longer under the thumb of Ethan Page, and that Matt also got to choose their next match, and the stipulation to that is when they win, they are no longer under a contract to the firm. So like you're hearing this and you're going, wait a minute, my dude, wait a minute now. This sounds confusing as I don't know what. What are you talking about? Because, wait. Right, and I actually wrote this down. Let me say that again. So they forced Page into signing a contract that said if Hook defeated him, so go back to that very first time that Hook and Ethan Page had win at it, okay? And Ethan Page lost. He was pretty sour over it, was Ethan Page, and he had demanded another rematch of which he had lost at. But remember, Hook defeated Ethan Page. So as a result of that, Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy, they're no longer, or Private Party, they're no longer under the thumb of Ethan Page. I guess they were trying to say Ethan Page and the firm, right? Because then it goes, Matt Hardy says immediately after that, he also got to choose their next match as part of that whole stipulation. So Hook did win, Ethan lost, they're no longer under, okay. Now they get to choose a match, and the stipulation, when they win, there is no longer a contract to the firm. This makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to explain to you the reason why. Because if I am presenting some type of paperwork to Ethan Page and I'm trying to figure out a way to get out of that contract that's binding me to not just Ethan Page and the firm, right, but just all of that, okay? No, I'm going to set up a contract and I'm going to have its language designed in a way where in one sitting, I'm going to knock out whatever is going on. Whatever is going on. If you're taking my money, no longer, right? If I'm part of your stable, yeah, no longer. Oh, because of being associated with you guys, I can never challenge for any of the championships. I can't even be a tag team partner. Okay, that's out too. I'm gonna knock it all out in just that one freaking contract where Ethan Page gives that old signature, right? So this was a little bit silly how this was set up here. Hopefully Tony Khan and crew, they'll clean this up, because the way it came off was just definitely confusing, I would have to say. Ethan Page comes right back and says there's more than just Page and Stokely when it comes to the firm. Of course, he's talking about Lee Morty and Big Bill, who come out there to attack. cue up Hook, who comes out there trying to lend an assist. Things were looking a little bit grim when all of a sudden you hear some Hardy Boys music and you're going, okay, well, we already see Matt Hardy. What? And then it's Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy comes out. Great freaking ovation from the crowd. Huge pop from the crowd there. I'm not kidding when I say huge pop. It really was a huge freaking pop for Jeff Hardy, who looked very well rested, looked very sober, looked very clean on all the levels, even drug-free clean, okay? Looked to be in a better headspace, looked happy, had this whole different aura about him from the last time we saw him and everything, but looked real good, man. Did a nice swanton bomb onto Lee and all that. Matt and Jeff Hardy celebrating. Great to see him back. It's interesting because you go back, what was it? Maybe, if not last week, 2 weeks ago. I remember saying to you guys something along the lines of Matt Hardy giving an update on Jeff. And I don't know if I had mentioned the part about Jeff getting some type of eye surgery, but supposedly this was from Matt. This is what he had said on his podcast. He said that as far as the rehabbing and all that was going with Jeff was doing fantastic. He's pretty much nice and healthy. It's just right now, he's got to take care of some corrective eye surgery, something that he's been meaning to do for a while, but now he was going to do it, and that apparently it was supposed to put him out for about maybe 5, possibly 6 weeks. So you hear that last little part, and you can't help but wonder if this was done to essentially throw people off that were asking what's going on with Jeff, when is Jeff coming back, any update on Jeff. And this is a nice way to kind of throw everybody off and everything. But man, seeing Jeff Hardy back, that great ovation, I mean, man, when it's all said and done, the AEW roster, it is just coming more and more stronger and stronger. They're getting back some of the most coolest, strongest pieces to the roster. And I tell you what, the timing of this could not be any better, because it's all hands on deck when it comes to London for All Out. What is it, this June? You need all hands on deck for that. And I know we had took last Wednesday off because I was on a post WrestleMania, a little mini vacation that I like to do each year after we get done with all the multiple shows, WrestleMania week and everything. But hearing the news about AEW going to London, they're going to be performing at the Wembley Stadium for All Out, for not just AEW fans, but for wrestling fans in general. I'm very excited for our community. I'm very excited. And I really hope that AEW is able to do well at this event. I know that, people that heard this about Wembley Stadium, they're jumping out there. They're making snide, crude remarks. They're saying there's no way they're going to sell this out. There's no way they're even going to be able to get, they'll be lucky if they can even get 1,000 people to show up at this venue. Yeah, I mean, we got people that are taking all kinds of digs at AEW. Look, obviously that Wembley Stadium, that bad boy can hold about 90,000 people, okay? And you just think about the way that AEW is going to be breaking it down and all that. Look, I'm being very realistic with you guys. As far as if I have any trepidations, if I have any concerns about whether or not AEW is going to be able to sell out this arena, I think it just depends on what AEW's goal is as far as their maximum seating capacity goes. If AEW is saying, Tony Khan and crew, if they're all saying, look, we think logistically, realistically, we think we can easily get in there 35 to 50,000 fans in there. We think we can fill up the seats for sure for paid customers, not comped. We think we can definitely get in 35,000 to 50,000 seats filled. Then I think that's a good number. Anything less than 30,000, I think is going to be a disappointment. I think anything less than 30,000 is going to be a disappointment. So I'm calling for somewhere between 35,000 seats to 50,000 seats being filled, not comped, is a success. Okay, so but we'll see what happens. I'm just looking forward to seeing how everything gets pieced together leading up to this. And now more than ever, you want your strongest / impact players on your roster at play, because you're going to need all the help you can get to sell those damn tickets to that stadium. You feel where I'm coming from? So keep my fingers crossed on that one. But seeing Jeff Hardy back, and now you got the Hardy Boys, they're basically back on the saddle again and all that. That definitely helps towards that, especially if ultimately what you're trying to build up towards is the Hardy Boys in action against Ego Ethan Page. I mean, that'd be pretty badass if you're gonna do the Hardy Boys with Hook and they take on Ego Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, and Big Bill. If you're going to go in that direction ultimately at All In / All Out, yeah, I'm down with that. Freaking sign me up for that. We see some footage for earlier in the day that shows Kenny Omega cutting a promo, thanking everybody that had got involved with what all had went down with the Bucks last week. And Kenny Omega not appreciating the Blackpool Combat Club hurting Don Callis the way that they did, leaving his skull split open, as he went Michael Jordan here, that Kenny Omega, because he took that personally, right? And Omega gets it. And he says, look, Don Callis, he might not be the most likable guy, but he's still family. And when you mess with family, you cross the line. He would love to just sit there and say it's blood for blood, but there's so much more than that. Pretty much promising next time he sees them, it's going to be much worse, much, much worse than that. From there, good segue, Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley taking on Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. This was pretty much another squash match here. I had a serious problem with this one. Look, I don't mind the Blackpool Combat Club, the BCC. I don't mind seeing them come out there, and they're pretty much taking no prisoners. It's all about, and we're, take prisoners. We're beating everybody's ass. Anybody that's in front of us, we're just going to maul them to death. I'm down with all of that. But here's the deal. As a wrestling fan, I don't give a flying fuck if I'm seeing Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler getting their asses handed to them. If I am supposed to feel some type of sympathetic emotion for seeing the mauling that Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler are taking, I'm not feeling that. I'm not even laughing at the TV seeing these guys getting their asses handed to them. I'm just looking at this going, yeah, well, this is pretty much what I expect, right? And the fact that it went as long as it did, this mauling, because this went almost like 3 to 4 minutes this went. It was a squash match, but the fact that they just kept, you cue up the Cranberry song, do you have to let it linger, right? Why did we have to let this ass beating linger for as long as it did? I wasn't a fan of that whatsoever. I think it would have made much more sense, to go in another direction, especially if you're trying to play up the idea that the BCC, make no mistake about it, they are bad guys for what they're doing here, and the Elite, they're actually the good guys here. We should be feeling a certain way towards the Elite here. And there's the other thing. It's like, okay, so the Elite, are they officially baby faces here now? Or because for all intents and purposes up to now, this has continued to just be a faction and faction thing. So, it clearly hasn't truly been defined, who's the face and who's the heel. Who are we supposed to be cheering here? But the fact that we had Cutler and Nakazawa here, I didn't give a fuck. Seriously, I didn't give a fuck with this, right? So, and then the other thing that's so hilarious about this too, now that I'm thinking about it, Kenny Omega doesn't come out while his boys are being butchered to death. No. It's after the damage has been done. It's after the damage has been done that essentially Kenny Omega comes out there. Oh, but he's not alone, as apparently the Bucks, choosing their spots wisely, they pretty much come from behind Jon Moxley and Casanoglu to super kick them both, stereo style, from behind. I mean, in storyline, if you're Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa, you're going, guys, that's real fucked up. That's messed up how you did us. You just used us essentially as bait. As bait so that you could get in some cheap attacks on these guys? Way to help us out there, man. How about you could have helped us pull a huge upset tag win over these guys, and then that's what you think of us? What the hell? So, nowhere in this segment. Bryan Danielson, by the way. Not sure what was going on there, but yeah. Meanwhile, Rio and Sky Blue. Congrats to Sky Blue, by the way. Sky Blue has officially become all elite. I know this had a few people kind of, well, wait a minute. She's been with AEW for a little bit of a while now. Wasn't she always under? No, apparently. Because when you go back, especially if you were to maybe use the Wayback Machine, there was never any graphic, never any announcement prior that Sky Blue had signed to AEW, that she was all elite. There was nothing prior. So you're kind of led to the impression that maybe what was going on with Sky Blue way back when, all the way up until recently, is the fact that she was just doing maybe some type of a pay-per appearance deal. But now she's officially with the AEW roster and all that. But Rio and Sky Blue joining forces to take on Toni Storm, Ruby Soho. Toni Storm, Ruby Soho winning this one. I think, honestly, given the placement of where this match was, not good for the girls. I don't think it was good for the girls, because they pretty much had to follow up behind that whole butchering of Nakazawa and Cutler. So they definitely should have came out way before, because I gotta tell you, when the Combat Club were out there and I'm going, oh, I know exactly where this is going, I started to doze off. The only reason why I know what had went down was right before showtime. I did rewind and everything, try to see what I had missed, because I fell asleep during this and I fell asleep during the women's tag match and all that. So, and it's a travesty for me, because, I love Sky Blue. I love seeing Sky Blue. Lord have mercy. Can't believe you guys are just now realizing all the lusciousness and curves that is of Sky Blue. It's all good, though. I love you guys still. So the girls, they're triple teaming on Rio, getting ready to spray that trademark L, when all of a sudden Jamie Hayter comes out, Britt Baker comes out, pretty much your Benny Hill moment right here, rinse and repeat. Chris Jericho taking on Keith Lee one-on-one. Another 15-minute match that you had go down here. Closing moments of this one, there was a dark-skinned maxed figure that came from out of nowhere and clocked Keith Lee upside the head. I don't know if it was with a skateboard, some type of something was going on though. Something was going on. It was a belt. It was a belt if I remember it now. It was a belt that was taken to the head of Keith Lee. But given how the build looked of this individual, how they were moving, the eyes, you're going, oh, that's Swerve Strickland. Even the commentators weren't trying to insult the viewers and saying, yo, looks like Swerve Strickland. That's got to be Swerve Strickland. Jericho pretty much looking on confused, wondering what the hell had went down. Was able to go in there for the cover, gets the victory there. So this match, not everybody may be into this match because this was, okay, let's slow it down, right? You're at a club and you got that nice, good, high tempo, fast paced music that's going and everything. And then maybe somebody makes a special request. They want to do some dancing to a slow jam, right? So it's like we got to slow things down just for the next couple of minutes because this dedication goes out too. And that's how it kind of seemed. But you know what was so goddamn distracting about this was just seeing all that gray that Keith Lee was pushing because he's no longer going with the clean-shaven look. Now he's coming out there with red fox, white hair and beard essentially there, right? I mean, it's nice and trimmed up and everything, but it just looks so damn distracting. And, I get it. He went gray at a very, very young age. I mean, he's still a relatively young man as we speak, but, apparently maybe when he was in his, late teens or early 20s, he started going gray pretty early. Almost kind of reminds you of that American Idol singer, the one that kind of looked like he could be Jay Leno's son. I remember when that guy had popped up. And the judges in America, they were thrown off by the guy initially because they thought this was a guy in his 50s or whatever. And it turns out at that point, I think he was in his late 20s, early 30s. I think he was a cab driver. You guys know exactly who I'm talking about. Shout out if you remember from way back when and all that. But good shit right here. This was a good match. Nice, fun match. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. Nice seeing Jericho continuing to mix it up with fresher faces. When I heard that this match was announced from last week, I'm going, wow, okay, this is so random, but if you watch Dynamite, okay, you understood how this all had came together. Okay, hey, this is pretty sweet. Let's see what goes down here. A lot of love Big Lee was getting from the crowd there. Post-match, Adam Cole's music hit. He comes out there to check on Lee, gives him some words of encouragement. They walk on, and pretty much the show goes off with Adam Cole looking over his shoulder. Very similar to what went down with Jericho, from the previous week. Well, or actually, no, that would have been 2 weeks ago now and all that. So pretty much ending that way. Episode of Dynamite this week started off pretty strong, but then you slowed down there a bit in the middle, but then you kind of picked up a little bit towards the end there. So I definitely feel, as far as the matches, the ones that I had highlighted for you guys, Orange Cassidy taking on Buddy Murphy for sure. Darby Allin going up against, what was that? Darby Allin going up against, I'm drawing a blank already. Hang on, I wrote it down. Darby Allin, Swerve Strickland, that was another one. Jericho, Keith Lee. Definitely, if you got the episode on your DVR, those are the ones you definitely want to home in on. And honestly, you can just be good to go from that, right? And then, of course, add that nice touch of seeing Jeff Hardy make his return and all that. Pretty solid, overall good episode for what it was worth. You guys been enjoying yourselves so far? If you haven't done so already, make sure you smash the like, subscribe, all that good jazz. Helps out big time. Big time. You can also show some love. Give the show a follow on Twitter, Facebook. Use keywords, the RCWR show. By the way, something new. I just joined this week, a couple of days ago, and I've been answering little questions here and there. But if you guys, for you shy cats out there, if you all want to send me a anonymous message, like as far as if you got a question you want to ask but you don't want to have your name be attached to it, if you want to send something anonymously, you can do that. I'm on, hang on here, let me just copy the link and I will tell you guys the link that you guys can use. All you got to do is just ngl.link/the RCWR show. I'll give that to you guys again. NGL, actual letters, ngl.link/the RCWR show. And you guys can send me a message anonymously. Just have it be in the form of a question, and I'll gladly answer it. No problem whatsoever. So if you're following the social media outlets, the YouTube, the Facebook, and the Twitter, you'll see me posting that on the regular. So anytime you want to pick my brain on something, I don't mind answering the questions. So it's, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they allow people through this app. I think it's pretty cool that they allow folks to ask whatever questions they can ask anonymously, and there doesn't need to be a name attached to it, because it essentially gives maybe celebrities or say wrestlers that check out certain podcasts but they don't want their name being out there, that they check out that show, because then they become a distraction, unfortunately, because now you got the hosts of the shows, they're going, yeah, man, Batista checks out this show. Yeah, we're the shit, man, because if Dave Batista's listening, why aren't you guys listening, right? And all that other shit. So I think that's cool that they got that set up. So some other stuff that we can get into here on the show tonight. We are just steamrolling. I mean, we are barely under an hour, and we're doing it. We are just doing it. We got a new AEW Rampage this Friday. As far as the card goes, I did not jot it down this go round, sadly, because I was doing a couple of different things, but I know that this episode that's coming up Friday is pretty much a tag team edition of Rampage. I think maybe there's only one singles match that's in there, and like everything else is going to be tag team action. But make sure your DVRs are extended, because it looks like Rampage for this week, it's supposed to be coming on at a special start time of 9:30 p.m. Eastern after NBA action on TNT. And you know how that can be sometimes with the NBA. You say 9:30 and you really got to prepare yourself for 9:45, 9:50, or hell, maybe at the usual time of 10 o'clock. I hope that it comes on at 9:30 or no later than 9:35, because that would mean I could be in bed even earlier rather than later. So I hope that it comes on as close to on time as possible. But make sure your DVRs is set 9:30 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as the NBA action on TNT has wrapped up. So FYI on that one. Elsewhere, Vicky Guerrero and her husband, they had issued a new statement following up on what we had talked about on episode number, 1017 of the RCWR show. Vicky Guerrero and her husband, they're now issuing a new statement through their lawyer where they are denying sexual assault allegations. Chris and Vicky Benson responded to Sherilyn Guerrero's recent allegations. Chris and Vicky Benson vehemently deny Sherilyn Guerrero's recent allegations of sexual assault and abandonment. Ms. Guerrero's unsubstantiated accusations have caused the Bensons to suffer public ridicule, scorn, and humiliation. Chris and Vicky fully appreciate the seriousness of allegations of this nature. I don't know if they really appreciate. I would say they fully understand the seriousness of allegations of this nature and the need for public support. Well, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Public support. Didn't Vicky Guerrero say anybody that has an opinion on this matter can go fuck off? Can go fuck themselves? And now in the same breath you are talking about the need for public support? Well, that's kind of a contradictory, isn't it? Anyway, for public support of sexual assault survivors. However, they ask that you withhold final judgment of this matter until they have the opportunity to bring Ms. Guerrero and her claims into a court of law where judgment is based on facts and merit. This is a statement that they made through their lawyer on social media. So, wow, better late than never. I mean, seriously, honestly, you probably would have been better off putting out this statement initially a week ago than Vicky Guerrero acting like a scorned little kid. First putting out something, but then deleting it. You're thinking, oh, she's just seeing the error of her ways. She realizes how messed up this was. No. She just wanted to add more fucked up shit to that post, right? She didn't change anything. She just wanted to add some more fucked up things to say about her own kid and all that. You would have thought that. Jeez, it's just a prime example of something I've been saying on this show for years upon years now, and this is the most prime example of what I'm talking about. Before you get ready to send, hit that little, post button, whatever, tweet, before you hit it, just pause, look at the shit. You sure you want to be putting that out there? If you're not really that sure, if there's even a little bit of hesitation coming at your end, then you probably shouldn't be putting it out. There's nothing wrong with having a second set of eyeballs to look over your stuff to see, because maybe, we've all been there. We're typing something up, we're getting ready to and then we say to our friend, our partner or whatever, hey, here's what I'm getting ready to say. What do you think? Oh, well, I know you, and I know that what you mean is blah, 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 but other people could read that and take it as, so maybe you shouldn't say that, or maybe you should somehow work this in so that all your bases are covered. Nothing wrong with having a second set of eyeballs look over, what you're getting ready to put out or whatever. Lord knows that in all my years of doing work, doing voiceover projects, working with advertisers, sometimes some of my correspondence with potential clients, sometimes I'll get some knuckleheads in there, and I'm not really sure if I really want to be working with them. And then other times I don't want to come off as a meanie, and sometimes I'll type a little something. And if I'm not really sure
how it's going to be perceived. I'll have wifey read it. I'll whether she's at work or she's right in front of me, I'll say, "Hun, what do you think about this?" And she honestly gives me her feedback. You know, she's been at it a lot longer as far as public relations and all that goes. You know, and then she'll tell me, you know, straight up, you know, if it can go past her, if it can get past her with flying colors, then I know I'll be all right. But if there's like, it's like, okay, all right, let me go back to the drawing board on this one, you know, come off with a new response and all that. But yeah, now more than ever, man, you know, you got to make sure that before, and it's not a case where you got to be walking on eggshells. There's a way that you can make your point while at the same time making sure that all your bases are covered, so that if anybody tries to come at you feeling somehow triggered or whatever, but then even at that, you can take all the necessary, again, you're not walking on eggshells, but at the same time, you can cover all the bases you want. And there are still going to be people that are going to find some type of a gap in what you're saying and use that as a way to jump out there and attack you, attack your character. I'll give you a prime example. So just this week, matter of fact, I believe it was, if not Tuesday, it was definitely Monday, the new trailer for The Marvels had came out. And I gave my honest first impressions of the trailer. I didn't see it on YouTube. I didn't see it on Facebook. The very first place I had happened to see it was on Twitter. I wasn't even seeking it. It just so happened to be in my timeline. One of my Twitter buddies retweeted the link, and I had responded. And the tweet that I put out there, I said, sadly, another Marvel movie I'll be skipping. This should be a Disney Plus release, honestly. I'm down for them doing a movie really aimed towards kids, but this doesn't scream for adults, not even remotely. It's all good. Right? That's just how it came off to me. And so, you know, I looked at this trailer. Now, look, Twitter, you know, Facebook, it's not about writing a goddamn diary. Okay, Twitter, you can now tweet your fucking heart off, and only the first 280 characters are gonna be shown. Basically, if the person wants to see your full thoughts, they gotta just click on your tweet and they'll be able to see your whole thoughts that way, but only the first 280 characters. Look, man, it's Twitter. All right, I'm not writing a goddamn essay. I'm not writing a fucking novel. I ain't got time to be sitting down. Okay, you know, if I gotta go past 280 characters, you know what? Just catch me on the next show. I got a microphone. I'll dedicate a couple of minutes to really expand upon my thought. Right? You know, but my whole thing was, look, everybody that had saw Thor: Love and Thunder, you know, that weakest out of the Marvel movies collectively, nowhere near good as Thor Ragnarok, the first Thor. You know, this was definitely a straight up kiddie kind of movie here. And you know what, hey, that's cool. You want to put something out there for the kids, that's fine, but not quite, you know, right? And so I looked at this Marvel, this was the Marvels. I looked at this and I said, yeah, this doesn't really jump out at me, but, you know, hey, shout out to those that's gonna, right? And a couple of people have responded, you know. One person said, hey, come on, man, let your inner child out. Ain't nothing wrong, man. Come on, give in, right? And, one person, I love their comment. This was pretty cool. They said, problem is they are trying to keep everything connected, but the tones are all over the place, so does not work at all. This is all fluffy with jokes at Fury at the beginning. And then his show is super serious spy action with ties of Winter Soldier. The balancing is off. And, you know, and he is so right. Shout out to Mandalo Doran for that. You know, he's absolutely right. Because when you look at the trailer for that new Secret Invasions Disney Plus series with Samuel Jackson, you know, you're looking at that and you're going, whoa. I mean, this, you know, it's got a Captain America and the Winter Soldier type of vibe. It definitely comes off extremely serious. So yeah, to his point, yeah, it does kind of feel as though they're all over the place, right? And then we had another person that chimed in, Ken, saying, you know, hey, I'm 38 and I'll be catching it in theaters because it looks like a blast. You know, then we had another person that said none of the Marvel movies have ever been for adults or catered to adults. I beg to differ on that one. There's a reason why whenever you go, I mean, obviously this is a person that's not paying attention to the demographics around him when it's been coming to these Marvel movies. I can remember when the first two Iron Man movies had came out. First handful of Marvel movies, but definitely the first two Iron Man movies. And when it came to the demographics, very heavy on the adults, okay? Very heavy on the adults. And it wasn't until you really got to, I would say, the very first, oh man, I'm just trying to think here. Let me do this because I gotta actually see the timeline of Marvel movie releases. Hang on here. Timeline of Marvel movie releases, because I can tell you exactly when it was like, wow, there's more and more kids that are coming to these Marvel movies. Hey, that's, you know, and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, Iron Man, that was like straight up adults. Iron Man 2, I started seeing a little bit of kids. The first Thor movie, that was like adults. Captain America and Captain America, the first Avenger, that was still mostly adults. You saw a little bit of kids that was in there. Incredible Hulk from 2008, straight up adults was all I saw. It wasn't until you got to the very first Avengers movie, which was in 2012, and then from that point going forward, kids was really, you know, young kids was really taking up a lot of seats there. But all the films, I don't think there's any denying that. I mean, anybody that wants to disagree with that, you felt that, you know, maybe it was different for your respective neck of the woods, you could definitely sound off. But just, and I'm quite sure that if I were to bring Tams in here, because she's practically seen every single Marvel movie with me since we've been together, and I would say first, it would have to be the first Thor movie from 2011. It's about the time that, you know, we had started dating and all of that we were together. I'm pretty sure she would definitely tell you the same thing, right? So, as a matter of fact, I tell you what, I like this shit. Let's dial her up right now. Hang on, let's turn on the Bluetooth setting. We haven't had Tams crash the show in a minute here. All right, it's connected. Let's see if she's got her phone near her and if she'll pick up. Because, like, usually when we go to the movies, hey, hon, hey, okay. Quick trivia question for you. You're live on the air. Say hello to the good folks.
Hello.
So, quick question for you. So, I saw this one comment. I'm responding to, let me set it up properly for you. So, I saw the new trailer for the Marvels movie. Basically, it's got Kamala Khan, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, and the black woman that was in WandaVision, Turns out she's got superpowers. Yeah, so basically the movie is about all these girls, and it's called The Marvels, right? So I put out a tweet giving my reaction to it, and I said, sadly, another Marvel movie I'll be skipping. This should be a Disney Plus release, honestly. I'm down for them doing a movie really aimed towards kids, but this doesn't scream adults, not even remotely. It's all good. All right, so I said that. So the responses to this has been mixed, and one person particularly said none of the Marvel movies have ever been for adults or cater to adults. And I said, in responding to that tweet, I said, I beg to differ, and I just gave the fans, listeners, a rundown about, hey, this Marvel movie, no, it was straight up adults. This one was straight up adults. And I had said, you know what, as far as when kids started dominating, because we've been together since 2011, and I remember when we went to see Thor, the first Thor movie, which was in 2011, and that was all adults. Captain America, the first Avenger, that was in 2011. That was all adults. I don't recall seeing, oh wow, look at the decent amount of kids here. I don't remember that going into effect until the first Avengers movie. Is your recollection the same, or was it sooner?
I think it's about the same in reference to more kids coming out to see the Marvel movies versus adults was probably Endgame or the one before that.
Okay. Endgame, so hang on. Endgame would have been, hang on. I'm looking for you. Endgame would have been 2019. You said before that, Captain Marvel. That was also the same.
No, I mean, Avengers, not necessarily, separate entities.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Okay. So how do you feel when you hear that? Do you think they have a point, or within reason?
I guess it depends on what they want to have it cater to. Is that what they want to have it cater to? Because in the last, since we started talking and were dating and then eventually got married, most of the Marvel movies that we went to see were pretty much adult in the theaters.
Right.
There wasn't, a mixture of kids, and if it was maybe one or two.
Right.
But majority of it was adult.
Right.
And that's, on back from, Iron Man to Captain America to Wonder Woman to Ant-Man to, just the gamut.
Right.
Doctor Strange and so on and so forth. But I guess that depends on where they want to take it. Is really the question of whether or not it is supposedly, kid-friendly, not for adults, so on and so forth. Now, maybe back when we grew up, that was probably made more for kids. But from 2009 to probably 2020, maybe one, it was definitely more geared towards adults.
Right, because I'm just looking at the chronological order of these Marvel movies, and like the first Iron Man, which was 2008, I remember seeing that in theaters, and it was weird because it was mainly adults that were there. Like if I had to say, I think kids were there out of 100%, I would say maybe 1% to 2%. It was almost like the adults wanted to test the water before okay, I'm gonna take my kid to, right. And the second Iron Man movie was pretty much the same way. Thor, the first one, that really stuck to the mythology and all of that. I mean, these were the first Captain America movie. These were some pretty heavy dark tones that were in those first handful of Marvel movies, and really it wasn't until you got to that first Avengers movie, and then Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Guardians. It wasn't until you really felt that they were trying to expand to the kids.
Well, even to the point of the storyline. To the storyline that they were running with, most kids wouldn't be able to grasp that.
Right.
Some of them.
Right.
I mean, some of the story arcs that they were going with, most kids would have been like, huh? You know, what was that? What does that mean? What does this mean? You know, unless they are real big comic fans to where they've already followed the storyline.
Right. Because, like, I'm just trying to picture that kid. I'm just trying to picture that kid being able to understand a Doctor Strange movie, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah. No. Even the first one.
Right.
It, to be honest with you, the first one, which was fantastic in its own right, but for someone who wasn't known to like that universe, and even I had a little bit of a hard time following. Granted, it was a fantastic movie, but it took me a little bit throughout the movie to piece it together.
Right.
So, yes, in reference to, I really think different decades were maybe geared for different things. Maybe that was always the thought process behind it, but maybe not necessarily carried out that way, because a lot of, not even just Marvel movies, more kid-friendly movies have been made to have more in them to make sure that the adults who are bringing the kids are semi-enjoying the movie-going experience as well, versus, oh, Jesus, I got to go see this movie with my child, and it's, and it's nothing. I mean, they'll enjoy it, but I get nothing out of it.
Exactly. Well, you got it. You nailed it. All right, let me wrap this up. I'll come in there in a little bit.
All right.
Thank you. All right, bye. Let's see here. All right, love hearing from the wifey. All right, so now I didn't lose my my train of thought there. So we had one person chime in. I don't even know how do you pronounce this name, but this person had said, Marvel movies never been for adults. I think you're confused with DC movies. I'm sick of all these damn straight nerds bitching about girl superheroes and that they aren't hot. They aren't aimed to please you. They are for family and for little girls so they can have a heroine too. Now go back to the initial tweet that I had put out. I didn't say anything about the women not being attractive, nor did I even say they were attractive. I didn't say any of that whatsoever. I did not complain about the fact that it was a all-female cast, for the most part, female leads, I should say, for this particular movie. I just simply said, I think this is one I'm going to be skipping out on. So this is what I'm talking about when I say you could maybe have every single point of your post, your tweet, or whatever, all your bases covered. There's always going to be somebody that's going to try to come in. If they feel there's some holes in there, they're going to poke at it and everything. And so this was how I had responded to that. I said, please do not group me, friend. I enjoyed She-Hulk, first Captain Marvel movie, and others. I skipped Morbius, Eternals, and others. Not a Marvel or DC thing, and I respect those who like what they like. Hey, maybe it's the trailer that's whacked, but it just didn't grab me. That's the main thing that I pretty much look for whenever I'm checking out a new trailer. I don't know how you guys operate, but if a trailer drops and it's like, okay, let me see what's going on here. If it grabs me, if I am hooked from beginning to the end, then you know what? Shout out to that marketing team, because they've done a superb job in hooking me, making me feel invested, making me feel as though I need to come out of my pocket and check out that movie in its entirety. There probably, in the history that I've watched movies, there's probably only been one time where I had saw a trailer for a movie that looked pretty good, and then when I ended up seeing it in theaters, I walked out after the first 20 minutes because it was just really, really bad. And that would have been that would have been Matt Damon in the movie The Informant. I could not, man, that movie, when you see the trailer for it, you're like, whoa. But then I remember when I saw it in theaters, I saw it with a friend of mine. And after about 20 minutes, we were like, yo, this movie is boring as fuck. This isn't quite matching up to the trailer. You want to dip? Yeah, let's dip. And we freaking dipped. We did not care. We freaking dipped. Really bad movie. And I remember back then, because I'm still a big Matt Damon fan today, but I remember Scott Bakula was also in it. He had second lead, and I'm a huge Scott Bakula fan, going as far back to the days of Quantum Leap and all that. So I felt, hey, how can you go wrong with Damon and Bakula? It's a great 1-2 punch. There's definitely, and it's funny because the overall consensus back then when the movie came out, they pretty much gave that movie like a C minus, one of those type of deals. And it's been one of those movies where, if I happen to see that it's on, I just go in the other direction. And that's probably one movie, no matter how much older I get, I will never sit down and I will, but yeah, the trailer for it just didn't get to me and all that. But do you see the point that I'm making here? Now here I put out, a harmless, innocent tweet, not thinking anything much of it, just giving my initial thoughts. And now you can have people just kind of come down, rain on your parade or and all of that. Now just imagine if you're saying some real fucked up, heinous shit like Vicky Guerrero said to her daughter, right? You're not putting any, cause and effect. What will happen if I put this tweet out? Am I gonna have a bunch of people trying to cancel me? You gotta think that way. And the fact that she did not think that way initially, but now I would imagine she has been just scorched on the face of the earth through social media, and now she's essentially trying to do some type of damage control by putting out this weak statement through her lawyer. Now, honestly, that's what should have been done from the get-go. Very, very weird family. As I said on Monday, I wish them nothing but the best, seriously. WrestleNomics, they're reporting that AEW Battle of the Belts, what is it? What are they on now? 6 or whatever? I think they're on 6. It looks like it drew 415,000 viewers. This is up just a little bit from the previous Battle of the Belts, which was in January of this year. That ended up doing 409,000 viewers. So not too shabby. Meanwhile, last Friday, SmackDown on Fox did 2,468,000 viewers. AEW Rampage did 503,000. Again, Battle of the Belts, that did 415,000. So not too shabby. This week's Dark Elevation card from AEW, by the way, in case you're interested, Matt Taven versus Brian Pillman Jr., Lee Johnson taking on Blake Lee, Josh Woods going one-on-one with Daisy K, the beautiful, the lovely Willow Nightingale takes on Diamante. For you John Moxley fans, looks like he's going to be doing some stuff for the Wrestling Revolvers Mayhem for All promotion / event in May. he will be facing Jake Chris on the show. That's going to be going down May 6th in Iowa. For those of you that won't be able to attend in person, it will be showing on Fight TV. Got some new news for Dark Side of the Ring Season 4. They are coming back this May 30th is the Season 4 debut. Jericho will be back narrating for the season like he's done the past couple of rodeos. You've got new episodes that's going to be focusing on the marriage relationship of the late Chris Candido and WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Sunny Sitch. Oh man, I can't wait to see. I hope they go as close to real time as possible with Tammy Sitch, right on up to the whole DUI stuff and all that. I would imagine she did not participate in this. I would just imagine she did not. Right? Yeah, because I'm having a hard time picturing her. Yeah, we could talk about Chris Candido. Yeah, and we can also talk about how I've just been on this weird downward spiral since. I'm having a hard time picturing her being willing to open herself up and all that. They're also going to be doing a episode about the career of Magnum TA and everything surrounding that unfortunate fateful night with that car accident that pretty much had sidelined his career, had you wondering what might have been. Abdullah the Butcher, the troubled life of Marty Jannetty, my personal favorite. They will be doing an episode on the Junkyard Dog. There's going to be plenty more, but I gotta say, of the list of episodes that they have announced so far, I definitely am seeing myself checking out all of these episodes. For sure, that Chris Candido one, I'm definitely looking forward to. Chris Candido's brother actually follows me on Twitter. And I don't think he reached out to me in emails. From time to time, I'll have some wrestlers that will hit me up, or friends, family of wrestlers that will hit me up from time to time, and they'll say, hey, I'm related to... there's this book, or there's this project I'm working on and talking about there. I don't think I would have to go back and check my emails, but I don't know how Chris Candido's brother ended up following me. It's I'm not complaining about it. I just wish for the love of me, I wish I could remember how that all had came about. But definitely once this episode is in the books and all that, if he might be up for talking about this episode, we could definitely try to see if we could have him appear on the show in the near future, without a doubt. Shout out to LuFisto. LuFisto had revealed that she unfortunately had to cancel all of her bookings for the next couple of weeks because she had a serious incident go down at work where she banged her head really hard on a piece of a metal shelf as she was trying to pick something up. She bent over to pick something up, and the back of her head just viciously hit a metal shelf frame and all that, and she got concussed pretty damn good. So better to be safe than sorry. The doctor is putting her, I hate to say on the shelf, but putting her on the sidelines. How about that? Putting her on the sidelines for the next several weeks. She's pretty bummed about it because no, don't get injured doing the wrestling stuff. No, you get injured at work. That is just weird irony, I tell you. I mean, sometimes God can have a sixth sense of humor, they say. So I don't know. You take that for what it's worth, right? Take that for what it's worth. So let's get into, by the way, what do you guys think about this news that's going on with McDonald's? For those of you that are not aware, and shout out to you guys that live in the following areas of Fort Worth, Texas, Denver, Colorado, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Apparently, you all's McDonald's, key McDonald's in those respected regions, and I am very well aware we've got listeners in those areas. I do see the show analytic breakdown. Your respected McDonald's in those areas, some McDonald's in those areas, are fully operated by robots only. You heard me right. Robots are dominating in that bad boy. So even when you go to drive-through, you're dealing with robots. I mean, it is just weird to hear that. And I mean, you know, look, not for nothing, but to a degree in today's age, you know, we're somewhat more of a antisocial society, you know, being distracted by gadgets and all kinds of other stuff. You know, good customer service is really hard to find these days, whether you're going to a restaurant, a grocery store. You know, it's really hard to get good customer service. And I'm not surprised to hear this because, you know, a lot of the McDonald's, what they started to do, as soon as you would walk in, if you didn't want to walk up to the waiter, or not the waiter, I wish McDonald's did have a waiter, but if you didn't want to walk up to the register and talk to that employee, let them know your order and all of that, now you can just, as soon as you come in, go over to this little tablet machine. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Put in your fucking order, do your payment method right there. You get your little number and you just sit and wait. You know, after about 5-10 minutes, person calls your number and you take the food, you're good to go. That's it. That's it. You only got to deal with interaction, human interaction, just at one time, just to grab your food and go. But now, in these certain parts, you know, you could just pretty much come through drive-through. Don't have to worry about that human aspect, or physically going to the restaurant. Don't have to worry about that human aspect. Yeah, it's really starting to become like fucking RoboCop, isn't it? I mean, seriously. So what happens if you try to, I'm just curious, what happens if you you come in there, the food's ready and everything, and I don't know, maybe you haven't paid yet, or you know, or you're coming in there and you're stealing somebody else's food. You know, do those drones and robots, do they go fucking RoboCop on your ass and lights your ass up? I'm very curious.
You have 10 seconds to put down the Big Mac, large fries, and medium soft drink. Otherwise, face termination. 10, 9, 8, but all I got is chicken nuggets. 7, 6, I don't even have a soft drink. 3, 2, I just came in here for a cookie. 1,
and you just get lit up. I'm just curious what happens with that shit. There's a funny ass thought right there. Yeah, there's a funny ass thought right there. Let's end on this note. CM Punk. So there's some interesting CM Punk news that's floating around. Shout out to the good people over there at Fightful. They're reporting that CM Punk has reportedly told AEW on numerous occasions that he wants back in with the company. He wants to come back. Okay, so, and by all accounts, by now you would be under the impression, yeah, he should be 100% healthy by now. He should be ready to go. Yeah, you know, what's up? And Punk is said to still have that wrestling bug, and has said Steve Kern's book made him miss the business. This was a book I had just briefly talked about, and it's so funny because we were talking about Chris Candido and the book that had came out a couple of years back, thanks to his brother and everything. But Steve Kearn's people, they did actually reach out to me a month or two before the book was released. They wanted to see if I would be down and talking about the book, doing an interview and all that. And at the time, I honestly, I just did not have the itch to talk about any books and all that, so I wasn't in the interview headspace at that point. But apparently Punk had pitched, from what I'm saying, that to tell you this, that Steve Kearn book, I've been hearing nothing but good things about that book. So if you're checking out some stuff online as far as wrestling books go, you want something, what should I get into, and you're a little bit of historian buff, pick up that copy of Steve Kearn's stuff. That's basically my message to you guys. But apparently Punk has pitched several return scenarios to AEW, which includes a willingness to work with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. However, as of a few months ago, the Elite were not as enthusiastic about working with Punk. It's unknown if that has changed as AEW works on negotiating new deals with them. Punk has also said he's willing to return to AEW and be kept completely separate from the Elite. Some talent believe that the upcoming AEW Saturday show could help with that, as there will be some type of a special separation of the AEW roster, but that's not an official plan. Punk is also said to be open to working elsewhere, although it's unknown if that means ROH, WWE, New Japan. I like how the Impact wasn't thrown in there, though. I love Impact now, don't get me wrong. I've seen what Impact has been doing as of late, but I just like how Impact Wrestling hasn't been thrown in there. I guess we don't think Anthem can afford CM Punk. What are we thinking here, right? So obviously there's still a whole lot of stuff in there. Look, I don't need to be long-winded with this, but for me, it's pretty simple. If CM Punk is 100% healthy and he is fucking ready to go, I say you need all hands on deck when it comes to that Wembley Stadium. And you know what? The more hands you have involved in really helping pushing the hell out of that Wembley Stadium event, the better. The fucking better. If you want to finish playing out the rest of this month not doing anything CM Punk related on AEW television, if you're Tony Khan and crew, hey, that's fine. Go ahead, do that. But if you are really dead serious about making that event be successful, you definitely want to put CM Punk. I mean, that is, God, what a great 1-2 punch that would be. Because just think about that. On one hand, coming up at that stadium, one match you got the Elite taking on the BCC. Then what I had alluded to earlier with Hook and the Hardy Boys taking on Lee Moriarty, Big Bill, Ego Ethan Page, Adam Cole taking on Chris Jericho, and then Dax Hardwood, Cash Wheeler, FTR, put them in tag team action against Matt Menard, Cool Hand Luke. You should also get one more guy in there. I don't know if maybe you get Daniel Garcia in there or Sammy G, but if you maybe wanted to have CM Punk be with FTR, you could definitely, right? What a great way to... I mean, man, you got so many goddamn cool options. Or if you just want to do CM Punk as a one-on-one act, you could also go that route as well. Hell, if you want to do for the main event, if you want to do CM Punk versus MJF for the AEW World Title as your main event for All Out, you could definitely go there too. You really need all hands on deck, and if you don't put CM Punk in, if you don't involve CM Punk with All Out, I personally feel if you're Tony Khan and crew, you're gonna be shortchanging yourself. There's a time and a place for, but right now you need to be about maximizing the dollars. You need to be all about maximizing selling out that venue, getting as close to it as possible for a sellout. You need to be all about, okay, we need all the help we can get right now. We're putting out an APB, come one, come all, let's go. You know, why would you put personal feelings, right? Why would you let personal feelings get in the way of you doing good business? And I think the majority of wrestling fans, I don't see how you would disagree with me on that one, right? Because if you're not gonna pull the plug and reactivate him and have him do something at All Out, then, you know, it's one of those, well, what are we really doing here? What are we really doing here? Are we serious about Punk? Or, because if we're not serious, and we could have activated him for All Out, you know, if we're not being serious, then, okay, maybe we should just go on ahead, buy him out of the rest of his contract, and send him along his merry way, right? So, I mean, this, you would think, after everything that I've said, you would think this should be a no-brainer. But stranger things have happened. So, we'll see how this continues to play out. But now's the time, I think. Now's the time where you start planting in the seeds. Definitely late April. Start planting those seeds. If you're going to be doing something with Punk, start planting those seeds. And as you get closer and closer, you know, doing the big reveal and everything. But we'll see what happens with AEW programming remaining for the rest of this week, this month, going into May, because they got till June. So, I mean, it's not like they got to just make the announcement of Punk right now. They can easily take their time with this. And I honestly believe that they do have some type of a plan for Punk in mind. I really do believe that. So, but fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. All right, and other than that, that is pretty much it. So we're at about the 1 hour, 46-minute mark. By the way, the poll, let's see what you guys had to say about this week's AEW Dynamite. Let's go to Twitter at the RCWR show first. And thank you to those of you that voted via Twitter. I see you guys said we got a tie at 25% between thumbs down and staying in the middle, while top dog right now, 50% of you are giving Dynamite a thumbs up. Meanwhile, YouTube at the RCWR show, click on the communities tab and you can vote that way. I am seeing 14% of you gave the show a thumbs down. 29% of you are giving it a staying in the middle. Top dog, 57% of you are giving it a thumbs up. So that is that. As far as programming notes go, I actually had an opportunity to chat with someone of the Wow Women of Wrestling roster. Sadly, I was way across town, and there was just no way I was going to be able to do it. And to the point, by the time I came back in town, it was going to be time for me to take my next round of classes. So sadly, I wasn't able to do it. I was pretty pumped too. I won't say who it was with, but we're going to try to see if we can reschedule that one. But this Friday, I'm actually going to be chatting it up with another person of the WoW roster, BK Rhythm. So when you see a thread post, I'm going to do it on YouTube and on Facebook. For those of you that got some questions, you want me to shoot BK Rhythm's way, when you see that thread go live, you guys are more than welcome to post. Now, please, I can't help but, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to have to say it. Do not post any questions like, if you had your pick to go work in AEW, WWE, Impact, or ROH, understand that, these interviews that we got from time to time with the good folks over at WOW, we're doing this through their new partner in what is it, CBS and everything. So, they don't really like questions like that. Now, if it was a case where I'm interviewing these girls outside of the company, we didn't arrange them, pretty much with the help of CBS or whatever, then I'm sure they would definitely, without hesitation, they would answer questions like that. But since the interviews are pretty much being set up through a third party, there are certain questions like that sadly I can't. But if you've been checking out the WOW product and, it's like, okay, all right, well, based on what I'm saying, okay, yeah, Lee, ask her about, then definitely shoot your shot, right? Shoot your shot. I remember when we had interviewed, what's her name? I remember when we interviewed homegirl from DC, Foxy Fierce. So I remember when we were chatting it up with her, that was a question that was asked, and I knew deep down I couldn't even ask that question, and I had to let the person that asked that question know, hey, we sadly can't tackle that. And I didn't give a long-winded answer, but very similar to what I just said here with you guys just now and all that. So, but again, when you see that thread posted, definitely sound off. And between now and then, I'm definitely going to look out, I would say sometime probably Thursday, look out for some type of a WOW recap. I know it's been a minute. I'm definitely going to post a WOW recap. So look out for that. That'll be coming. And that's pretty much going to do it. As far as that interview goes with BK Rhythm, I'm locked in. It's supposed to be for this Friday, but I probably won't have it go live, probably not until Monday's show. So our next edition, if you're not going to be checking out the WOW recap dropping Thursday, the next edition of the RCWR show will go down on Monday, April 17th. Don't forget, y'all, taxes are due this week going into the weekend, so make sure you're on top of that, okay? There's some of you last-minute procrastinators out there. Get on it already, damn it. But I'll catch you guys April 17th. After WWE Raw goes off the air on the East Coast. Meanwhile, Be Kind Rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR show. Check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Alexa, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. Get at your man on Twitter, Facebook. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And remember, if you guys want to send a anonymous question for me to answer on social media, happy to do it. Just hit up ngl.link/the RCWR show. You're looking for the audio version of this, give me about 30 minutes or less, and it'll be up and ready to go. Till next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Everybody take care. Peace.